Well, I hope that works, man. Gosh damn it. Bane of my existence. Actually, you know what? It all works out perfectly, man.
Yeah.
Because, dude, in the end, like, this was, like, the biggest thing I wanted to talk to you about. It's like, what would be your intention with a podcast?
I don't know yet, man. I mean, sometimes it just feels good to get all this out and talk to somebody else about it. And I'm sure there's other people that are looking for information, you know? And I'm not saying that we know everything, but sometimes we might help somebody else wake up. So we might as well like communicate what we're experiencing because, you know, helping people wake up is like kind of what I want to do. You know, that's like the
Since
movement.
when?
Since I woke up, man, like it was just so eye opening that like so many people are NPCs out there. You know what I mean? Like so many people are just like in this loop, and you know what I mean? They smoke their Pall Malls and they drink their Diet Mountain Dew and they go to work and then they go home and they sit in front of the television and they just plug in, man, and they just don't do anything. They just do the same shit every single day. So, I mean, the more people you can get this information out, the better the world's going to be.
Yeah. When do you think when did you really start to like wake up? Because actually, about getting back into it again is that, dude, right at the end of dinner, outside, you said something, dude, that really caught my attention.
Yeah.
You said since your last trip, dude, like it changed you.
Right.
Like, tell me about that.
Dude, I don't know, man. I started noticing how weird people are. You know what I mean? And I don't know.
Like when you were in the trip or afterwards?
Afterwards, yeah.
Really?
Well, actually there was like a 4 or 5 hour period of time where I couldn't see, you know? And then after that I started seeing, and like I noticed that everyone had so much anxiety. Instead of just concentrating on the festival, on the music, right? Everyone was looking to see what everyone else was doing. And it like blew my mind. I'm like, no one's enjoying this concert really. You know what I mean? Like they were just like, everyone kept looking around and looking like to see what everyone's doing. I'm like, I'm like, people are weird, man. Like they can't just like enjoy themselves. They can't just like relax. Like everyone was so like, you could just see like how worked up and worried, and you know what I mean? You could just see all these things in them. And it's like,
you could.
Yeah.
You could see those things because
right.
They couldn't see them.
Right. Yeah. And I like time slowed down for me, man. Like,
oh yeah,
everyone's like heads was moving slow. Like every movement was slower, and like the music was slower, and like, dude, I was just like noticing things, and I was like, holy shit, dude, this is wild.
Do you think that's like the deepest, or like, tell me about like the trip itself? Like it was like, let's say from your craziest to the most mild, like where would you put it in that scale? Because like I've had some similar that are just fucking that affect me to this day, that happened in 2006 that still are affecting me.
Well, so my first time, because like I didn't really understand when somebody said tripping. Like I had done, you know, mushrooms a few times, and I never really tripped, right? And I think it was just because I was so strong-willed, or I don't know what it was, right? Like people were saying like, and then you have the people that say like they see cartoons and crazy shit like that. You're like, what the fuck ever. You know?
Get out of town.
Yeah, get out of town. But the first time I tripped, dude, I was we were up in my friend's cabin. It was just me and my one buddy. Like we were just, you know, trying to unplug a little bit. And I probably did a little less than a quarter, which is a good amount. And we were watching a movie, and then all of a sudden, dude, it was just like, I just like got like all these things started going through my head, and I started like actually seeing, and I was like, dude, we're in the Matrix, man. And then I was like, oh
when
my
was
God.
This? Sorry.
Gosh, this was probably like 2017.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So
2016.
4 years ago, 4 or 5 years. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. And I remember when it first happened, I was like, dude, this is how people go crazy. And I went and sat in the shower with all my clothes on for like 20 minutes and like rocked back and forth. And then I was like, no, man, I'm just like learning so much right now. You know what I mean? I was taking in so much stuff, and it was like that much information like made me trip at first. And then
where do you think that information was coming from?
I have no idea.
Where does it come from?
I have no idea, dude. It's crazy.
Yeah, because you were just like let's say you got plugged into the internet and you just had infinite infinite consciousness. You got plugged into the infinite consciousness, and you're like riding the fucking wave, like getting downloads, you know?
Yeah, it freaked me out, to be honest. But then, like, once I relaxed, it was just like, dude, I get it, you know? And I was like moving around the house, like looking at stuff, like, and I was like, damn, I understand the Matrix now. Like, there's just so many people that are just plugged in, you know? And you meet them too, like, they just say weird, like, the other day I was talking to this guy and he's like, oh, that's a nice watch. What kind of watch is that? I'm like, I don't know, man. I bought it for like $20, you know? And he's like, oh, well, my watch was like $875, you know? And I was just like, sick, man. Like, that's so cool, you know? But like, and then he's like, where'd you get those shoes? And I'm like, why does this guy keep asking me all these questions, you know? And it's because he's plugged in, right? Like, he cares so much about those little things, and none of that matters, right? Like, it doesn't matter. If you think something's cool, buy it.
Right.
Like,
but don't attach your identity in your self-worth into it.
Yeah, it's cool to have nice things. It's leveling up. Like you said, we're in a video game. Every time you buy something cool, it's like leveling up, right?
Yeah.
But honestly, you're not gonna, like, I'm not gonna go to somebody and be like, dude, how much was that shirt? That's a sick shirt, right? Like, it's just like, chill, bro. Like, who cares? Like, none of it really matters, right?
Yeah,
at the end of the day, like, if somebody just handed me $10 million, right? And people were like, what would you do with it? And there's a lot of people out there that would go up to the foothills and buy a giant fucking house, and then they'd be broke in like a year. Or like they would go party and damn Brazilian it out and rent a yacht and bang a bunch of random chicks and do all this crazy stuff. But none of that matters. At the end of it, what are you going to have?
Right.
If somebody handed me $10 million, I would start like a nonprofit, like building hurricane-proof homes in areas that need it, you know, or like Indonesia, Belize. I would go to, you know, tons of cool different places, like bring water to villages in Africa. I think the shoe thing is kind of played out with Tom's because, you know,
what happened to Tom's?
I think they still do it, but I mean, honestly,
it's not as hypey.
Well,
those ninja shoes, dude.
It was like,
they were fucking cool,
and they were $30.
I would get some.
Now they're like over $100, bro. What? Yeah, they're expensive, and then also they're expensive. But are people still getting shoes? And if so, do these people have like 100 shoes on their wall? Because they were, you know, for a while there, like you saw them on everyone's feet.
Oh, dude, they were the shit.
Yeah, we got like
a
village in Africa that has like 300,000 pairs of shoes or something.
Yeah, just a stockpile of shoes, dude. They don't even want them.
Yeah, they're just like, dude, I'll sell you these for $10. That's where you should go, Africa, to buy some Toms because they're probably $10.
Yeah, man. But I mean, the reason I said is, you know, dude, I fucking, again, like I started waking up in 2006.
Yeah.
And like the same thing, like the visions that I had and shit like that are now manifesting.
Yeah.
Like one of my first trips, in fact I remember when it was, March 24th, 2006.
Wow.
I had this fucking wild trip, dude. Like we probably ate at least a quarter.
Yeah.
And I had all my best friends were there. We all ate. We would all eat, and then we would all just kind of disperse throughout my house. My house was like 4 levels. It was just like, you could get lost in there, you know? Right. And so, dude, I'm having this, I go in my room, I lay in my bed, and I put the covers over me. I'm listening actually to the Beatles' Yellow Submarine, and I'm just tripping balls, dude. And I let go.
Yeah.
And I see a vision. It's not a vision. It's like a dream, but I know I'm dreaming.
Right.
And the image was like the world was burning, like total civil unrest, like fucking crazy shit. And like it was like I knew it was going to happen, you know. And ever since then, like I just have had this feeling like this is the end of something, like something big is gonna happen. In fact, I've been feeling that even since I was a kid. Like I remember there was a time in junior high, and even a time before that, maybe in elementary school, where like there was this, it wasn't a Y2K, but it was like the world is gonna end type thing. And So like throughout my whole life, like I've always had this feeling of not like the world's gonna end, but like something big is gonna happen that's gonna change everything. And like it happens like it happens to me. I experience these things like in these time periods. Like there was a time in junior high when this girl told me, she was in my Spanish class actually, and she said, "Hey, did you know that on this Friday the world's supposed to end?" And I'm like, "What the fuck you talking about? The fucking world's gonna end?" And it fucking like got to me.
Right.
So like I was in my basement all night because that's where I lived. And dude, just fucking tripping out, cleaning my room, like getting ready for the world to end, you know?
Yeah.
And it didn't end. And then like Y2K came around, and like I'm like what the fuck's gonna happen, you know? Like, oh my gosh, I remember me and my girlfriend laying in bed as Y2K comes, it passes, nothing happens.
Damn.
Then in 2006, like I had that experience where I trip out and I see this big vision, and then right after that, like I start getting, like I watched that movie Zeitgeist.
Yeah.
That
I watched that.
I watched
I've
it when
seen
it first
before.
came out.
Yeah. I
And
saw
so-
it back in the day. I just forgot about it.
Oh, the same time that I watched that movie was also the same time that 2012 was getting big. And so like I became obsessed with 2012, dude. Like fucking, I would hours of research on 2012, like studying ancient astrology, the Mayan calendar, right? All these things, you know. And I remember exactly where I was. December 21st, 2012, at my mom's house. I was actually flying to Argentina the next day, and nothing fucking happened. Nothing happened.
Have you ever heard the rumor that maybe they were off by 10 years or something like that? I recently just heard that they were off on something else by 10 years, so that they, like, now the new date that the Mayan calendar is saying is 2022.
Could be. I mean, I don't think that there is going to be like a major event or a catalyst that really shifts everything, I think, coming. But what I really discovered about the Mayan calendar was it's a calendar tracking the evolution of consciousness.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what I'm getting at, is that also throughout my journey, especially since 2008. So in 2008, I went to Peru and I hung out with the shamans, and that was the first time I did ayahuasca. And when I did that and came back, like, I believe that when you have a fucking crazy trip, like, it's not just done the next day.
Right.
Like, it's almost like a wave or like a sound. So if you hit a drum, it sends a sound wave out. So the same thing is when you have that experience, you're sending a wave of energy out in your own life, in your own reality. So like even now, months later, after you've had that experience that you last had, it's still reprogramming you because you had such a deep experience at a cellular level that is so different from your normal reality that it fucking like shakes you up. Like, what the fuck? I remember so the first time I died I was probably 10 or 11 years old. I used to huff gas in my backyard and get high as fuck. Well, one day I died. And if it wasn't for my aunt who lived next door, I don't know how the fuck she saw me. I died. I came back to life in the garage. She was doing CPR on me, and my mom was running around like a fucking crazy person, you know? And we never really talked about it after that.
Right.
I lived, we never really talked about it, but I do remember like at such a young age, like huffing gas, and like we had these 3-wheelers, so I would just take the top off, hold onto the handlebars, put my fucking head in, and just huff it until I started doing the loop-de-loops on the...
Yeah.
But it was an altered state of reality.
Right.
Like, we think that this is real until you trip out and you see it's not really real. Like, we think the table's solid, but it's really not. The Matrix with a video game, it's so fucking real. The virtual reality game we're playing is so fucking real, we think that it's solid, but it's not. It's just a hologram.
Yeah.
And so, like, as I've been on this journey, 2008 comes around, and then I remember where I was again. Me and Kevin were right on, but it was right, actually, I just met Alice. So Alice was the girl that led me up to Boise, actually. The night after I met Alice, me and one of my best friends, Kevin, we rode our bikes to get some waffles, and as I'm riding because the night before we did a bunch of Molly, mushrooms, just tripping out. And the next day I'm riding my bike down the street and I just get this download that this is a video game. This is a game. Like, this isn't real. This is a dream. Like, it's not real. Like you've seen the movie Inception. Like, how do you know that there's not a part of you that's plugged in or having a dream somewhere else in the universe?
Yeah.
And that this is just a dream? So, like, how do we know that it's real, and this whole construct and money and fucking government and religion and all these things that we've been told are true? What if they weren't true? What if they were just like a projection of a game that we were playing right now? And so, like, I have this thing, and like, it was like a seed that was planted in my mind. And then from that time, which was 2010, up until that movie came out, what was it called?
Which one are you talking
You gotta
about?
hold this closer to me.
Oh yeah, which one are you talking about?
The one with Ryan Reynolds?
Oh, nice guy or happy
Yes.
guy or something like that.
Good guy.
The good guy. The good guy.
The good guy.
So, dude, blew my mind. I was just
but
like,
leading
this
up
is
to-
this is a real fucking movie.
Yeah. Well,
This is
not
what's
only that,
happening.
but it's confirming.
Yeah.
What's really happening in the world is we are evolving to the next level of human, and that is we are God. We are God. We are the masters or the creators of our reality. That it's a projection of what's going on inside of us. And now you have things that are confirming that. And so, like, I've been on this journey where, like, I've had this seed that's planted in my mind, and as I walk it more and more, like, I'm so unplugged that, like, I know that I'm in a game. And I don't know, it's fucking weird, man. Like, it's confirming it more. And getting back to, like, the podcast thing, like, I'm at this point in my life right now where, like, I'm very nihilistic, where I think a lot to myself, like, what's the point? Like, what's the point of making money? What's the point of, like, trying to make a podcast or really do anything right now? Because I don't think we have a lot of time left before that big thing happens.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, like, it's gonna be fucking crazy. It's gonna stop the world, because it is a reset. Like, everything has to shut off so that we can get back to who we really are, and so we can learn some very valuable lessons. And, like, the ones that aren't willing to grow and evolve into that next level of human, like, they're gonna die. They're already dying. Like, the people that get the virus and the people that, like, are out there protesting and shit like that, they're resisting. They're resisting evolution rather than going with it, not being afraid of wherever it takes you, you know? Like, let's say someone who's like a big time Republican, like, they are die hard, they believe in those ideals.
Yeah.
Remember what it says in the Bible is don't worship false idols, but it's ideals. It's false ideals. An ideal is a construct. Like, we have these pillars that hold up, that are the basis of our reality. You've got government, you've got money, you've got religion, you've got these pillars that we believe, that we hold on to, but they're ideals, they're ideas. But that, like, there's no real way to, like, they're not fucking real. Like, it's not real. The government and all the laws and shit, like, it's not fucking real. Like, but what's happened is, like, we have to go through these challenges so that we can learn the lessons that are contained in them.
It's in the Bible, man. It literally says that the world's going to burn and that all this stuff is going to happen and that people are going to go Genesis. And people, like, good people, the people that, you know, believers or people that get approved, which we don't know who that's going to be, right? I don't know if I'm good enough for that.
Approved?
Not approved, just like people are going to go to a greater place, right? Which they describe as heaven. And I think, and it's just crazy because, like, people always say, like, oh, it's so crazy this is happening. I'm like, is it? It's literally in this book, right? Like, everything is planned out precisely. Like, they have everything that's happening right now in this book. We have wildfires everywhere, right? We have storms that are getting bigger and bigger every single year.
Yeah.
And it's like,
how do you not see that?
how do you not, yeah, exactly. How do you not see that these things are happening? But I personally feel like my relationship with God got brought closer from doing psychedelics, right?
Oh my gosh. I mean, so that's like for me, like I don't believe in like the same God you believe.
Right.
Like I don't know. I would never say you're wrong though.
Yeah.
Because I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't fucking know. I just have my own experiences that have given me my own idea of what that is.
Right.
And so like, in fact, a big thing for me is that if someone tells me I'm wrong, or if they say I know the truth, I automatically say, you can't. The biggest thing is prove it. Just prove it, you know? Prove it. And so, yeah, I mean, because I believe there's truth in all those books. Like, it is, I would bet my life that Moses, Joseph Smith, Jesus, all these great people, I would bet my life they were eating fucking mushrooms.
Yeah.
They were tripping their balls off, dude.
Yeah. I don't know. Just from what I've heard, I don't know how great the Joseph Smith guy was. I wouldn't compare him to Moses. But yeah, I definitely think that there's been a lot of great people. And, as far as like Moses goes, the burning bush.
Oh yeah, the Akasha bush, dude.
Yeah, the power. He's 800 years old. Just think if you ate mushrooms for 800 years old, maybe you could, get God to move water and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, who knows how much knowledge that guy had in 800 and whatever years.
Dang, yeah.
Dang. Yeah, I mean, honestly, we're going off on this like tangent on all this stuff, but yeah, as far as like why do all of these things, because that's what we're put here in life to do, right? I think that's part of the video game is play the game, do the best you can, get here and help people around you. Like, that's another reason why Christianity brought me closer, or that's why I became a Christian, because it's not what do I get if I'm a good person. You know what I mean? Like, you got all these people, all these religions that think you get virgins after you die and yada yada, right? I don't care about virgins. I don't want virgins when I die. When I die, who even knows if like sex isn't even going to matter to me? You know what I mean? Like, because you just inspire beyond that, right? But what I care about is being a good person, and that is overall. I'm not going to get anything from this, but hopefully I get to go up to a greater place that's that we can't even comprehend, right?
Right.
But really, I just enjoy being a nice and good person. Like, sometimes I even catch myself being grumpy or like in a bad mood, and I'm like, what's the point? What's the point of being grumpy? What's the point of hating these people? What's the point of being angry all the time when really all of us are in the same, life that we have, and there's no point in making a bad time, right? There's no point in giving somebody else a bad time. Sometimes I meet some people that I don't get along with or I don't vibe with because I think they're still plugged in, but I'm never gonna let them know that in a mean way, right? Like, I'm gonna try to educate them, and it's not necessarily. The craziest thing is, have you ever met somebody that is not plugged in but has never done any psychedelics?
I mean, I've met them personally.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think so.
I've met two people, and it was insane the amount of knowledge that these people held without, unplugging themselves. Like, it's just like, and maybe they got their knowledge, because both these people are big readers, right? Like, my sister is one of those people that's unplugged, and she can read a book in like 20 minutes. Like, she's one of those speed readers,
Really?
And you could quiz her on that entire book and she'll retain all of the knowledge.
She's always been a reader?
Just always been a reader, yeah, ever since she was a little girl. But, so I think that's her way of receiving this knowledge, right? Like, she just has so much knowledge and she's just unplugged from it, Like, she's very smart. She doesn't like she doesn't like being around a lot of people. She's very savvy. She's awesome to be around, but she's never done any of this stuff, and she's unplugged, And I've only met one other person that it was that way, and it's just incredible to me because it took me tripping to realize all of these things, right, and to get all of this knowledge. And I think that they now can like upload put chips into pigs' heads, right, where they can get more knowledge in their brain, and they're like working towards that with humans. That's like the next step, right? And I'm sure at some point our consciousness will be uploaded to the cloud, right? Like at some point, I feel like that is where humans are headed, right?
What if we already are though?
Yeah,
and we're just like back realizing it.
Yeah,
you know, where we're just going through, like, because think about this little thought experiment for you. Okay, 1 year from today.
Right.
What the fuck is today? September 16th,
Yeah.
2022.
Right.
It's already happened. And everything leading up to that has already happened. You're just experiencing it in the present moment. Like it's already happened.
Yeah.
So like 10 years or whenever that happens, like it's already happened.
Yeah.
Like I want to get into this with you is that like, if it's about living the game and having fun and stuff like that, like, you know, just based on what I do know about you, is that do you think something big is going to happen? Like something fucking crazy, and it could be like all the dominoes fall.
Right.
Something's going to happen.
Yeah, no, I mean, tensions just keep getting higher and higher. And I think as more people get unplugged, right, this governing class that we have, right, is freaking out and trying to keep, right, I think they're creating viruses, they're doing these things, right, because they're freaking out. They're like, we're losing power.
Whoa.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And I think they're more afraid than we are.
Wow.
Because more and more people are waking up, and this is scaring them, right? Because who knows? I mean, and Joe Rogan talks about this, that they're finding that there was intelligent life a lot longer ago than what we knew of, right?
Oh, dude, like he talks about Graham Hancock. Dude,
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of one of his books. Oh, dude.
Insane, right?
Dude, and that's what I like. Even like our history it goes so much farther than even what we believe. Like we're talking hundreds of thousands of years in America. They're finding evidence of advanced civilizations,
Right.
advanced beings. Hundreds of thousands, 300,000 to be precise.
Yeah.
Like that goes beyond any of our written history.
Totally. And so that information in itself, I think, and this is just me, is that they found some way to program people to be plugged in, right? 50s and 60s, like everyone was so nice. And
well, they learned how the mind works around them. And so once they knew how it worked, then they knew how to control. Because man, I was just thinking about this on the as I'm waiting for you. And I'm sorry to keep cutting you out, but like again, like I look at the world. I'm looking at it as a hologram. It's reflecting back to us where our current level of consciousness is at any given point in time. So like what I saw, like World War II was the end of like kings and queens and shit. So it was the end of that. All the people that died in that, or many of the people that died in that, were still holding on to those ideals. So then once we had that, a lot of people woke up saying, we don't ever want that and that. Like we filled the world with blood.
You know what's crazy about that, just real quick, is income tax, right? Payroll tax. That didn't happen until World War II.
That's
and
right.
They were promising that was going to go back to zero, and then they saw how much money they were bringing in, and they just kept it going, right? And people just fell for it. So as many people as were waking up from the kings and queens part of it, right? They were also being plugged in immediately, right? Like they're getting plugged from one thing, plugged into another. And now we're talking, and now we're talking about like completely being unplugged, right?
Like we don't need you. We don't need anybody ruling over us.
Right. Exactly. And I think that there needs to be some sort of like a security class or like you know what I mean? Like a person that like protects, right? Because there is still evil on this planet. There's a ton of evil. But I don't think that needs to be ran by this governing class. And I mean, when I say governing class, we're talking like third and fourth generation, presidents and senators and it's basically been going on for a long time, right?
Oh yeah.
Have you ever seen The Patriot?
With Mel Gibson?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
One of my favorite lines in that movie is, "Why would I trade one king 3,000 miles away for 3,000 kings 1 mile away?"
Right.
And yeah, it's a genius line, and I've thought about that a lot because, just think if the president dies, right? Then you got the vice president, and then you got the Speaker of the House, and then so on, 3,000 people in a row, right? Or
Right.
whatever the number is, 2,600 or something like that. And it's just crazy to think about. And one goes down, another one pops back up.
Well, it's crazy that we've been bamboozled to give up our power to them. Like people don't realize that just like, no, I'm not with any of you.
Yeah.
Like I'm the king. Like even when you tell me that quote, I think that again, like the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, that was the beginning of the beginning of that consciousness is that, hey, we're all kings. Every last one of us are kings and queens.
Yeah.
So then, boom, World War II, and after World War II, then we had the 50s, and especially in America, the 50s was the greatest. They say that 10-year block, the 50s, was like the greatest time. And you even look back on it, like it was just, that's when the average man became the king of his domain, rather than following another king. So like the way I look at, again, I see that we are the video. Have you ever seen the show Westworld?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is fucking Westworld. And what's happening is you and I are there's 8 billion roughly individual players that are playing in this game Westworld, in this reality. Well, you know that the Westworld is based off the Wild West, right? Well, what's happening is that our reality, it's the game, like Westworld evolving from the Wild West to the fucking future.
Right.
So we're going through the same change. Like we're going through like this digital virtual, like we live in this third dimension, but now our consciousness, the game of Westworld itself is evolving to the next level of it. But in order to play that game, you have to survive the change. And what's happening is the change of the whole game. That's why all these challenges are happening, whether it's a challenge in your health, your relationships, your finances, your spirituality, whatever it is, these challenges are going to come up because it's here to teach you whatever lessons you came here to learn, because you can't play at that. I believe that, like, let's think like 50 to 100 years from now. Okay, I think it's going to be a utopia on the planet. But in order to get there, this old world that we live in, it has to completely crash and fucking burn to the ground so that we can take all the lessons we've learned, all the technology that we've learned, and we can build a utopia out of it.
And I think that's the heaven part, right? Like they don't explain what the second coming is going to be, right? Like it just says it's something you can't even comprehend, and that's what I think is the second coming, is this utopia you're talking about, where eventually there is no evil, and whether it's here on this earth or in a different plane or a different dimension or whatever. I think we're headed that way, and it's just so, like we buy all these guns, we buy all these things. I'm strapped up all the time. I have like 40 some odd, rounds in my truck ready to rock and roll, so that hopefully I can make it to everything I prepped for, right? But if I can't, I got 40, I'm taking 40 people with me, or 37 or something like that,
Dude, you just made me think, is what if, because the ultimate letting go is letting go of this life. So what if we're in this reality, and that the game that we're playing right now, parts of that game is like there could be a civil war, there could be a fucking natural disaster, there could be these things that are going to happen, and more everybody feels it.
Right.
Like when we were talking about this shit back in 2006, like we were crazy then, and now it's like We're not so crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I've been saying the same shit. You know, it's like, gosh, I remember the first time I thought that I was smarter than my father, and this is like a real moment. I was in Germany, so I was probably 8 or 9, and my dad said, "Gosh, I'm feeling dehydrated. I gotta go get a Pepsi." And I remember thinking, Pepsi. Like, this motherfucker's retarded. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh my God.
I just like thought to myself, like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. And then I remember the second time I realized I was smarter than my father, and he said it to me. He goes, "Ken, you know, we get frustrated with each other, but we live in different reality. Like, we live different lives. Like, we think of things differently." He's like, "My brain doesn't work like yours."
Dang.
And I was just like, oh, damn. Like, I can't hate him for who he is.
Right.
He might be like one of the weirdest people on the planet Earth, right? Like, and he's just an odd guy, does a lot of odd things, and, you know, his reality is different than mine.
Yeah, I mean, think of it like this: he's the very first iPhone.
Yeah.
Like, you can't download the newest operating system on the first iPhone.
Right.
So it's like, you love it because when you have a child, you're passing your DNA. That's what keeps this whole thing going. So like, I tell Noah, "You're better than me." I want him to be better than me. I see the things that like my shortcomings and the things that I wish I was better at, and I focus more on being better than them now, and helping him become more disciplined, more committed, more loving, more generous. Like again, like going back to our dads, like the big thing for me was when I was going through puberty. Like, I'm a very emotional person. Like, I'm a very sensitive person. Like, dude, like, have you heard of like empaths and shit? Mm-hmm. I'm the most empathic motherfucker. I can read people's feelings like that, dude. Just read someone like a book.
Right.
But when I was going through puberty, like, I didn't really feel like I had a man that I could talk to about my feelings. And so I bottled them up. Mm-hmm. And then I got into a gang because I was full of anger. I was full of rage because I didn't have someone guiding me and teaching me how to express my emotions and teaching me helping me go from being a boy to being a man. Like, I didn't have that. And I think that most men modern in our times don't have that. Right. So like, I see a lot of, man, if I had that, there's a lot of pitfalls I would have avoided in my life because I was full of anger and rage and shit like that. I agree
with that same statement, yeah.
So it's like, when I have Noah, like, I make sure, like, I'm working on his self-esteem, on his love, like, your love. Like, I see, like, when he gets pissed off or embarrassed, like, when it first started happening, I would say, like, "Are you embarrassed?" And he didn't know what it was. I knew he was feeling an emotion, but he never learned the word tied to the emotion. Right. So like, that was where it started. Like, "Hey, this is embarrassment," or "This is anger. Like, what are you really angry at?" And then just like how to deal with it. Like, "Hey, I'm like judo. Like, I try to live my life. Whereas if someone comes at me, I don't go back at them. I take their energy and I move it to the side and I let it dissipate." Right. And I don't react until the energy has kind of gone down, you know what I'm saying? Because, like, I don't know about you, but fuck, I've made a lot of bad decisions when I was angry. Mm-hmm. Said a lot of things when I was angry and shit like that, you know? That if I would have just cooled down, if I would have known how to deal with my emotions and shit like that, totally different.
Yeah. You know what? I think about that. Probably one of the things I think about the most is controlling my emotions. Whether it be, you know, you grab some food while you're driving home, like, can you make it home without eating any of that food?
Dang, dude.
You know, just little things like that. Anger. Like, and sometimes this is one of the best practices I've learned too, and especially like in friendships or relationships or whatever, right? If I'm angry about something or I notice something that pisses me off, I'll hold it in until Friday. I won't say anything. Like, I won't even talk about it. And then when, if it happens on Friday through Sunday, right, then I'll hold off till the next Friday. And most of the time, I forget it. I don't even need to talk to him about it, right? Because it doesn't matter.
Right.
You know what I mean? And by then, dude, if you can still be angry about something in 5 days, it sounds like you need to talk to that person about it.
Dang.
But most of the time, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, so you might mull it over for a day or two, but then the energy goes away, and you're like, oh, I was making a mountain out of a molehill.
Most of the time, by Friday, I don't even remember it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I'm like, a day or two, I'm over it. Obviously, there's been some situations where like Friday comes along, and I'm like, you know what? I'm still feeling this way. I need to go have a conversation or talk to somebody about this. But really, I used to react.
Yes.
Like so quickly and never. It was crazy because I never. Gosh, I don't even know how to explain it. Like I wasn't in control. You know what I mean?
Totally.
I would get into arguments with everybody and yell and like. As soon as like people were just like, okay, man, whatever. You know what I mean? Then I felt like I had won, and that's not winning anything, right? That was like. One of the things I learned, because I'm like, man, I was totally wrong in that situation, but that person just cowered because of my size and my yelling. And if I would have just heard them out or thought about it, I would have realized that this person was right,
Right.
Or I could have learned something in this situation. But instead, I just lost my cool. And it took me a really long time to chill that out, right? Like, it took me a really long time. And I still, every once in a while,
Of course.
Lose that a little bit. And then I'm just like, how can I not control? But one of the things I noticed is like the other day I was at a gas station and this kid's like, Daddy, I have to go pee. And he's like, well, I told you to go to the bathroom before we left. And then he's like, I'm sorry, I have to pee now. And this dad lost his mind, dude. Just like, and when I wasn't going to say anything because I'm like, mind your own business. But then I thought to myself, I'm like, you know what? I have to say something to this guy. He walks out with this kid, and I just was like, hey, man, I just got to tell you this. And I was like, you're a 55-year-old man, and you still can't control your emotions enough to not yell at a 5-year-old.
Yeah, dang.
And this guy's eyes just like, he was just like, oh. And
he's like deer in the headlights.
Yeah, and he's not going to do shit, right?
Right.
Like, nobody's going to do shit. I'm freaking 6'6".
And you also, you're not coming from a place of aggression.
No.
It's like, dude, you made yourself look like a fucking turd. You look like a loser.
Right.
Like you're a middle-aged man that has no control over his emotions,
None. And I don't know if it did anything, I don't know if it helped him, right? Because there are people that are so plugged in. It's wild when you meet somebody that's so plugged in that you point out that they're plugged in and it doesn't make sense to them.
Oh, dude, I mean, oh my gosh. That's, again, another, thing is, again, I'm at this very weird time in my life where, these things are happening. And, I think, I used to be way more so than I am now. I want to help people. I want to change the world. But then I think and it was actually our last conversation where I didn't realize that people don't talk to themselves constructively.
That's wild, right?
Dude, I didn't.
Dude, 50% of the population.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That people don't have what is it, an inner monologue or I don't know that.
Dude, when I leave a party sometimes, I'm like, damn, that wasn't my best performance. In my head, I'm like, I was a little weird there. Or, you know what I mean? Something, I'm coaching myself as I go along, right?
Dude, yeah.
And 50% of the population does not have that.
So, oh my God, dude, again, this topic trips me out. So, let's talk about, going to get fast food.
Right.
So, there's the level of the person totally plugged in that they don't even really realize that fast food's not good for them.
Yep.
It's just it is food. Get it, stuff it, go back to the work, Then there's the person that's health conscious that they're like, I know I shouldn't be doing this, but I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Okay. But then there's another level where you see, okay, why am I doing this? I know it's not good for me. why am I doing it? Then there's another even deeper that says, I'm doing it because it's an emotional reaction. What's the emotion that I'm feeling that's causing me to reach for something that I know is not good for me?
Right.
So then that, at that level of, because I think that, again, part of like what I see coming, the reset, the period of blackout, like all these steps that we have to go through to get to that utopia, the real cheat code to it all is letting go. Letting go of your attachments. We have so many fucking attachments, otherwise known as addictions. They're so fucking subtle, Ken. Subtle.
Yeah.
That like they trigger us, and then we do these habits, and they're so intertwined within our being, you know.
Yeah.
That's saying, hey, I'm mad, or I'm sad, or I'm unfulfilled at a deep level, and I've become so numb to those feelings that even though I know it's unhealthy, I eat it because it brings me some sort of temporary escape, distraction, diversion from those feelings.
Right.
If you do that long enough, then you just get stuck in this like pattern, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, man. I used to like, I quit chewing. It was crazy because I remember somebody once told me, and I don't remember who it was, they got migraines whenever they would try to quit chewing, right? They would get headaches.
Right.
And so then every time I tried quitting chewing, I would get a headache. And I'd be like, oh, I'm getting a nicotine headache, right?
Yeah.
One day, I just go, maybe the headache doesn't exist. Maybe I'm creating this headache, right? I'm creating this headache. And when I'm creating this, I'm actually giving myself a headache.
Right.
I took the freaking chew out, and I've maybe thrown in one or two at like a softball game with the buddies, you know, they're like, oh, like old time's sake, you know, all right, I'll throw one in, catch a little buzz, right?
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm like, damn, I've never craved one, right?
Right. She's like,
never
had a little jonesing period, then yeah, it goes away.
Well, and I didn't even have that period after that because I realized that I was creating this jonesing feeling. I was creating in my own
the addiction.
mind.
No, yeah. I'm not talking about the headache. Like so for me, just to give you an example, like quitting anything, like after like 72 hours of not doing it, then I'm free and clear. But that first 72 hours, like there's still a part of me that's like, I'd like to have a drink or I'd like to have a smoke. But then I just talk to that part and say, nah, we're not. I just gotta make it 3 days, and then you won't even think of it. Just it's out of my habit part, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas like some people, like you were saying, like their ego has got such a firm grip on them that they create a psychosomatic feeling that, like you said, like you realize that it creates something.
Yeah.
Like I don't get any sort of withdrawal. My withdrawal is just that ego that like I enjoy drinking. Like it's never gotten me in trouble. I mean, not really.
Yeah.
And then I fucking love smoking weed.
Yeah.
And so, but it also got to the point where they stopped really having any sort of effect on me. And that's when I knew not only did they have like no real benefit upside, but the downside was far greater.
Wow. Like
it would get to the point where I couldn't really even have a couple cocktails or a couple beers without waking up feeling like shit. I'm just talking a couple.
Yeah.
Whereas before, you know, fuck you, I could drink with the best of them.
Yeah.
And then it got to the point where, dude, it didn't do anything. And like smoking weed, like I was smoking at 6 a.m. I'm out in the garage smoking a joint, eating edibles all day long. So I'm probably 250 to 500 milligrams a day. And like, it just didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And so I thought, and this is a kind of a theory that I have on this whole evolution, is that the ego is what wants to smoke. The ego is what wants to drink. The ego is what wants to eat fast. Whatever your bugaboo is, sex, food, whatever it is, like we all fucking have an addiction, or if that is our ego's way of totally distracting us from any of our karma, our lessons, and getting right into that. But as you let go more and more, is that's the name of the game, is that those things will have an effect on you, like your spirit, like you become, or I should just say I've become, like you were saying, like over the last, since 2019, since I broke up with my ex, like literally made that decision, I'm done and moved on, like dude, like I've never become closer to God.
Yeah.
Like just, dude, you're the first person I've seen today.
Yeah.
Like I spend a lot of time alone, long walks by myself, reading, studying. So like my relationship with God has never been closer. And so I think that as you, like, let's call it raise your vibration, or you get closer to God, like the spirit is like, okay, I know where we're going. And so like those things, those vices, for me was smoking, drinking, fast food, and sex, dude. So like it doesn't, you can go for it, dude, balls deep, man, drink all you want, smoke all you want, fuck all you want, but then it gets to the point where you exhaust it, where it's like it doesn't do anything for me. I've had so much sex that now it's like I don't even want it. It's like I don't want it. I want to, those things, the happiness or the joy or the fulfillment that I thought I would get from doing it, now I realize, oh, if I can really focus on getting even closer to God, like doing the things I know I need to do, meditate every day, pray, just do more of that stuff, then that's what will create real joy in one's life. Like not the pursuit of anything in the physical world.
Yeah.
It's really diving into the non-physical world,
Yeah, I think, and this might be weird, but for a while there, I was having like pretty bad hangovers, like you were talking, like where I just felt horrible. And then one day I like woke up in the morning. And actually I woke up at like 9 o'clock, right? And I go, man, I don't feel very good. And then I was just like, thinking about the time when in my head I went, and this is, I don't know, this might sound weird or whatever, but anyways, basically I was telling myself like, what if I just create all of these problems? What if I just jump up right now, I go drink some water, I go to the gym, or I go do something, right? Maybe I'll forget about it. And I did that. And now I wake up 7 o'clock in the morning and I can't remember the last time I had a hangover, I was worn out after my trip in California, right? Like I was like exhausted.
I bet.
And the one thing I still have flashbacks of is, and you kind of said you feel like people's emotions and stuff. I get people's energy, I think. Yeah. And I think my mom does the same. My mom has that same superpower, basically. Yeah. I call it her superpower. Like, she can read people better than anyone I've ever met in my entire life. Like, my mom, some people I brought in that I thought were these great people. Well, and it's funny, too, because as I realized that they weren't great people, right? I think I caught on early, but I was like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I'm probably not right?
Yeah.
So I wasn't there yet, and I'm still not where I think my mother is, because, my mom, she'll be like, no, they're not a good person. And, like, she always ends up being right, and it's so crazy. But then and again, like I told you, I saw everyone's anxiety. I saw all of these movements and stuff, and I always pick those things up, right? Like, I see the things that people are worried about that don't matter. Like, and then I also see these people that they don't care about those things, right? They're not important to them. And even if I do see somebody but I see their kindness. I can see their, that they just want to be good people, right? And it doesn't necessarily have to be a looks thing, right? It doesn't have to be an attractiveness, but I've noticed that, like, so I have this customer right now, her name's Kathy. I'll just leave it at that. I won't give any last names. But, like, I can just see she is so shy, right? Like, she has a hard time picking anything out. But, dude, I feel like I can, and I don't know if it's her aura or what, but she just is the kindest, nicest person on the planet, right? And I can just feel that when I'm around her. And it almost gives me like energy, right? And then remember when you asked me earlier, like, why do I want to share this information with people? It's people like her, right? She's just the nicest person on the planet Earth. And I think she's a little plugged in, right? She's definitely plugged in, but like her aura gave me energy to want to like be a better person. And it's crazy. There's a lot of people out there like that. You get around them, and just being around them makes you want to be
for sure.
a better person, right? And then there's sometimes when you're around people and you're just like, damn, man, like this guy's plugged in, you know? And you're just like, damn, I can't even hang out with those people anymore. And now that I've become more aware of my superpower, like back in the day, I didn't even notice I had the superpower. And I wanted to go to every party. I wanted to be at every event. I wanted to be the life of the party. And now when I go to these things, like I can feel those negative energies sucking the life force out of me.
Really?
But then when I'm around good people that I want to be around, it feeds me. It energizes me.
Right.
And I don't, I'm not like a wizard or, like any of that stuff, but I truly believe in people's energy. And, I'm in sales, so I'm in people's houses all the time. But I'm aware of this now. And so, like, if I meet somebody that I don't like their energy, I don't work with them. And I tell them kindly, like, hey, I'm probably not the right guy for you,
right.
And those people are sometimes the ones that give me the best referrals because they felt my energy, right? They want the same energy as me, so they're sending me people. And it's not necessarily like I don't like those people. I'm like, hey, I can tell this isn't going to work out between me and you. Here's a number of a guy that you might want to work with, or hey, this is what you should look for. I'm referring them to something.
Oh yeah.
And then those people are like, damn, I wish I could have worked with that guy.
Right.
And if somebody else brings it up, those are the biggest advocates for me. They're like, hey, I could.
Oh yeah, I wish I could have.
I wish I could have worked with this
guy.
guy. But here's a referral, And then, dude, sometimes I go to that house and I'm like, damn, these people got way different energy, right? And I'm like, okay, I want to work with you. And so now I've noticed that people without the energy I want to work with, they suck the life out of everyone around them. Right?
Oh yeah, vampire.
Yeah, like the other day, and this is one of the saddest things I've been around, and it made me think even deeper. Like, gosh, I'm nice. Get along. I'm nice with my mom, but there's moments when like we get into it, right? And I'm like, why? Why do I get in with my mom? Like, she is my mom. Like, I love my mom, right? Like, very much. And I got around this girl, and she was just so mean to her mom. Like, every time her mom tried to talk, she'd be like, Mom, shut up. I only have like 10 minutes I need to be here. And then she would just chirp my ear off. And I'm like, damn, how can you? And her mom's a hoarder. Like, she just had so much stuff in her house. And her daughter's energy was just sucking the life force out of her, right? Like, all of that's been sucked out of her. And just being around her, I could feel my energy being sucked out. Because I'm like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, damn. And like, it's so crazy, like noticing these things now. And this is what happened to me when I was at that festival, right? Like, I felt these people around me sucking the energy out of me. And then I also, like, when I was around my friends, felt them giving me energy. And I was just like, damn, why would I ever not want to be around a good person now?
Right.
And one of the best places I feel like you can get that energy. And before I always said like it was a refresher, right? Like it's like fueling up is when I go to church.
Oh yeah, of course, man. It's high vibe energy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? On Sundays when I go to church, it's like you get fueled up, and you really are though. It's energy. You're getting fueled up with good energy, right? Yeah. All those people are there to better their lives.
Right.
And no one, dude, you could go to a church and you've got everything from, a guy covered, I got tattoos. I'm not trying to say anything about it, but you got a guy head to toe covered in tattoos with a wife that's head to toe covered in tattoos. And you won't see a single person dodge them, right? Everyone wants to be everyone's friend.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
And this is why I picked non-denominational too, because I've been to Lutheran churches and I've been to all these other churches, and I did not feel that love that I feel at a non-denominational, where it's like everyone's there to love everybody. And I see these things of like, and I don't think this happens as much as people say it does, but I do think it does happen. But like, I have gay friends that are like afraid of Christians, right? They're like, oh man, Christians are scary. I'm like, dude, I know a lot of fucking Christians, like a shitload of Christians, and not one of them dislikes or ever says anything bad about gay people.
Right.
You know what I mean? My grandmother's church, she's Presbyterian, and her church was making the decision whether or not they wanted to allow gay marriage, right? The pastor that was currently there said, hey, I'm not going to marry gay people because I don't believe in it. And so he separated himself and 4 families followed him. 4 families. That's it. We're talking thousands of people go to this church and only 4 families followed him.
Pride comes before the fall, man.
Right. But people are waking up.
Oh yeah, big time.
Nobody cares about that.
Yeah, why wouldn't you care what was people doing in their fucking house?
And not saying that it's not a sin, right? But everyone sins every single day. I sin every day.
Hands down.
Nowhere in the Bible does it say one sin is greater than another sin.
Right.
So this guy that might have followed him, right, that's anti-gay, he probably has fucked around on his wife or done something, had sex before he was married. That's a sin.
Right.
He probably lied to his boss or lied to his wife about golfing. That's a sin.
Right. A lie is a lie.
A lie's a lie.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Every single day, everyone sins.
Right.
Yeah. And to think that you're better than this person because of their sexual preference blows my mind.
I mean, that's what I go back to, is saying that you're not an advanced spiritual being. Like, if you're still stuck in judgment, like, judgment is very low level spirit of this spiritual game, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you got acceptance of everyone. Like, again, like you said, like, we all sin, so I don't know what happened in anybody's life. So, like, I'm not here to judge you. If anything, I love hearing people's stories.
Yeah.
Because, and I've told you this a million times, I already know that you're a superpower, just like your mom's, just like mine. Like, I've told you. And like, the best empaths are, because what we're good at is getting people to dump all their fucking garbage onto us.
Right.
Because we're such good listeners and we truly care. I mean, I know I truly care. I love hearing people's stories. I'm very empathetic. I like to listen.
Yeah.
But what happens is oftentimes people take that energy on. Like, but for me, it's like, I can listen to it and it ain't my shit, but I'm glad you're getting it all out.
Yeah.
So you're not holding on to it, but it ain't mine. I didn't even think I'm not getting, like, I don't play that game, you know?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people take it on, like, they feel bad for, like, I'm not feeling bad for you. Like, at the end of the day, like, me feeling bad is not going to solve your issue. Like,
Totally.
I'm here to listen, but guess what? You got to do something about it. If you're a scummy person, or you're in a bad relationship, or you're fucking broke, like, guess what? Like, me feeling bad for you is not going to get you any money. You need to quit being a fucking loser and go win.
Yeah.
Okay? Dude, you got a bad relationship. It's like, hey, you've known for a long time this person wasn't right for you. You got it. Yeah, the hard part is breaking up or doing whatever it is. Like, that's hard, dude. That's hard as hell. Yeah. But only you can do it, so.
Totally. It's crazy that you say that, because you see my Instagram. I post a lot of shit on there, right? Like, funny memes.
Oh, yeah. Love it.
Dude, I have people that try to light me up. But
you
like,
do?
Oh, all the time.
Oh, shut up!
Yeah.
In your messages?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
all the time,
I
man.
can't. Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't. Oh, I never thought. Yours is one of the only stories I even look at, because you and Munson.
Yeah.
Because, dude, I like to laugh. People really. Dude, it's a fucking meme.
Yeah, all the time.
Oh. Oh, I bet you do, dude. You gotta get some memes of, like, you in a fire suit.
Dude, it's funny because they think it affects me. And, like, I have friends that are like, why don't you block them? I'm like, dude.
No way!
I don't care.
Yeah.
It doesn't faze me, right? But it's funny because this one guy sticks out in my head a little bit, because he's always like, oh, just because I got you on this and like blah blah blah. He's just
Got you? Like won an argument?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Even though
give me I just beats my head against the wall.
it's only one side, right? Like if you look at our thing, there's no responses from me.
Oh yeah, of course. But he takes your non-response as a response.
As a W, right?
Dude.
And
loser.
it's funny because like he's just so plugged in, right? Like he is plugged in. And I don't mind it, right? Because him telling me these things, it doesn't bug me. I just look at it and actually, you know what? There's some things that I do know that he assumes that I don't know. But I'm like, hey, this guy is looking for information because he knows these things.
Right.
Right? So he
hasn't unfollowed you.
Right. And he's looking, right? Like he's actually out there trying to find this knowledge. And I think one day, hopefully it comes to him, right? But what I'm trying to say is like when you saying that people dump all this information on you, and I never realized it until you just said that, right? And maybe it's because we're empaths or whatever. But when I sold door to door, I did it for 4 years and I ran like 40,000 credits, right? Like I did this shit for a long time. I met a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
People would tell me the wildest shit. And like it would give me energy, right? Like I'd be like, dude, you should have heard some of this shit. And still to this day, like when I leave people's houses, they're like, dude, I feel like I've known you for years.
Yeah,
like
man. We're best friends.
Yeah. I've got a barbecue going on Saturday. The family's gonna be here. You should come hang out. And I'm like, damn, why does this always happen to me? But it's because I'm a good listener.
Right. You don't judge.
Yeah.
You don't judge. You're accepting. Totally accepting. Like I'm not gonna, you could tell me because I think we're both the same in the sense that we're sinners.
Yeah.
And so why would I judge anyone? I can't judge you because I'm weird too.
Yeah.
Like, dude, so tell me all your secrets, you know?
Yeah, dude.
I ain't gonna judge ya.
Dude, some of the coolest nights of my life that I can look back on because I'm like, that person was wild, right? But those are great things. Like, I may not have learned anything from that person, but I'm like, that's cool to me. Weird people are cool.
Oh, yeah, man.
Like, normal people are the ones that I'm like, ugh.
Plugged in or what, NPC?
NPC.
Yeah, man, dude. You're too plugged in. I like a weirdo.
Yeah, so my favorite explanation is sometimes you meet those guys that are like, dude, they remind me of the Lego guy. Remember the everything is awesome?
Yeah.
And they like move, and then they got like the little khaki pants on with the polo tucked in.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like great people, some of them, and some of them have great energy, but they're plugged in, you know?
Right, yeah.
They probably eat their TV dinners and fish sticks and...
Dude, just no idea that they're living in a game.
Yeah.
Just no idea.
Yeah. And dude, that was the other crazy part is in the beginning when he was like, looked in his closet and everything was the same. And then he ate the same cereal and drank the same coffee. Dude, there's people like that.
I mean, but we're all like that.
Yeah.
We are all like that. We all run on that same cycle.
But there's also people like you and I, like now, if my mind tells me not to do something, I do it.
Right.
Like, I don't love this type of food.
Right.
But now, I've never even tried that food. Right? I just, in my head, have told myself, I don't like fish.
Right.
And then I'm like,
yeah, where did that come from?
Where did it come from?
Wow.
I love crab and lobster. I love shrimp. But in my head, I was like, I don't like fish. Where did that come from? Wow. And so then now, like, if somebody's like, hey, do you want to try this? I have to.
Yeah.
Somebody's like, I remember this was like a pretty early age, right? When I was in high school, we went to go jump off the cliffs in Payette. Have you ever been there? Crazy cliffs. I think like one of them was like 80 feet or something like that. Dang. 60 to 80 feet. Yeah. And I remember everyone's like, who's going to jump first? And I was like, I don't want to jump first. And then I thought that in my head and I was like, fuck, dude. I got to go jump. So I just ran and jumped, dude. Hit the water. The guy that went after me went forward, fell forward, smacked his chest and collapsed both his lungs and broke his sternum.
Oh, dang.
And I went, that could have been me.
Yeah.
That's wild. But at the same time, he's alive. Guy lived life,
Didn't die.
He didn't die. He's got a great fucking story to tell everybody.
Right.
What
doesn't kill you makes a great story.
Yeah. I also like coach rugby, and whenever these kids get hurt or something, like, damn, man, I wish I wouldn't have got hurt. I'm like, what are you talking about? You should be grateful you got hurt. You're living life, man. You are doing something that not everyone can do.
Right.
And you could be home watching 8th season of Game of Thrones 30 times in a row, or, you know what I mean? You could be doing all these things that don't equate to anything. You're not like, so many people watch so much TV, right? And they don't learn anything. All they know is that on The Bachelor, this last episode, that this person got the rose and this person got,
the people that aren't in a relationship watch relationship shows. The people who don't play sports watch sports. It's like, why don't you not live in life instead of watching other people live life?
Exactly. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But I explain that to them, and like, sometimes I'm like, kids are like, damn, you're right. Like, I am. And then sometimes kids, just blow me off. And, I'm probably just being weird, but I'm just trying to teach them a lesson, right? Like,
right. And they're like, listen, dude, that's a little too deep for me, sensei.
Yeah. But, like, I think about it my way. I played rugby for a long time, and I don't have any regrets at all. Like, I'm so glad my body was pretty banged up. I've been doing the right things to make it so it's not banged up, which I wish I would have known the information. Once I start hurting, dude, it's crazy how many people take painkillers because they're hurting. And it's like, why don't you just fix the actual problem?
Right.
Why don't you every day I still feel pain, but I think at some point they're like, oh, this is a quick fix pain pill. Right. Oh, this is that. Like, they told me that I should have shoulder surgery last time. And like, no joke, I couldn't lift 5 pounds above my head for a long time. And then I started going to, obviously you know about the Rossiter. I was hitting the Rossiter. I was doing that. I was working out. I was doing band stuff. Gorilla Zen. I follow him, Blake. Gosh, that guy's a genius.
He is, man.
Dude, some of the stuff, I do that stuff all the time.
Mobility.
Dude,
just the stuff he gives away for free on his Instagram.
It's insane.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, that guy is like, he definitely helped. It's crazy because as I started thinking these things, right, I went, wow, I can fix my body. I just have to work on it.
You know what's interesting too is that you're coming into your 33rd year, which is like 13 is a transformative year, 33 is going to be a powerful year.
Yeah.
So like, it doesn't happen. All energy is not stop and go. It's flow. It's waves. So like, even like last year, you're feeling that transformative energy that really starts to transform your life again.
Yeah.
Going into, it's like I'll be 40 next year, and so like dude, like I'm going through a midlife crisis,
right? As
they would call it. Like, to me, it's not a midlife crisis. Just like there's a lot of changes in my consciousness. Like, dude, it was 20 years ago that I was 20. So it's like, as you get to 40, you look back and you're like, oh, dang, that's crazy. Like, it went fast. And like those, like you start, like you're experiencing now, which is so awesome, that it's like, you got to take care of your body.
Right.
If you don't take care of your body, it's compound interest. When you get to 60, if you don't take care of your body, that's when the bill is due, and it's going to hurt.
Yeah. I also read this crazy article that said a lot of people work out less as they get older, when in all reality, you should be working out more as you get older. So it's like 30 minutes up until you're 30. And then once you hit 30, it should be an hour a day. And then once you hit, 40 or something, or 50, I can't remember exacts, it was like 2 hours a day. And by the time you're 80 years old, you need to be putting in 4 hours of exercise.
Dang. I mean, that's 2 walks and some working out, but swim and workout. And
totally. But
what else you got to do when you're
think about how many people don't get 30 minutes of exercise.
Oh yeah, very few.
Very few.
Yeah.
Yeah, and mine is come in waves, right? Like I played rugby, but 2 years when I was in the car industry, I got super overweight, and it was because I was eating fast food. I was living at the car dealership. Probably one of the most depressed times of my life, but I was making good money, and that's why I kept, like, I kept making it okay in my head. Like, I'm making good money. It doesn't really matter how unhealthy I am.
Right.
I'm making okay money. Life is okay.
Right.
But then, gosh, I got out of a relationship, had like a little 5-day bender jackpot. And I thought to myself, why does life just have to be okay? Like, why do I have to just settle for okay? Why can't I live the life that I want to live, And I feel like my path has started working. Like, I've started working that way since that happened.
When was that?
2014. And it might have been going slower than it has for some people, right? Like, my path might be a little bit slower than some, but the amount of information I feel like it keeps happening sooner and sooner and sooner for me.
Yes, dude. Okay, I'm with you 100% right there, dude.
Yeah.
It is. It's like speeding up.
Right. I keep learning and more information keeps coming.
Yes.
And it's like I notice things throughout the day, and I learn so much more than what I used to throughout the day, just from everyone that I speak to, right? Like, I learn so much about, like, life from every moment, right? Like, I go into a sales call and I talk to this person. When I leave, I analyze everything that happened during that, and I put that into this computer up here.
Right.
And now this information, I'm retaining more of it than I ever have. I'm listening to books. I'm listening to jazz. I'm listening to opera. Dude, I love opera now.
Oh, yeah.
If you would have told 20-year-old Ken that he was going to listen to opera, like, it's beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Music is beautiful. Yeah. And life has just become so much more beautiful. I remember, and I don't know if we talked about it in a podcast, but I know we've talked about it before. When you do mushrooms, you see prettier colors. You see things breathing, right? Mm-hmm. I feel like I see that all the time now.
Oh, yeah. Colors
are more beautiful, vibrant. I'm happier. And I think that's because I'm becoming a happier person, that I'm noticing more. I'm slowing down more and taking in more information. I'm seeing trees breathe without being on psychedelics. Right. I'm seeing people breathe. I'm seeing everything, and I just feel like, I'm retaining more information than I ever have. Back in the day, it was just autopilot. Mm. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I'd go to school, goof off, go party that night or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Go get in, like, I would try to go to parties to get in fights, anything to cancel everything out. But now it's just crazy, man. Like, I just feel like I learned, even just sitting here talking to you, I learned so much, and it's like, yeah, it blows my mind how much more information as I get older I'm retaining,
Oh, yeah, and you're experiencing.
Yeah.
Because it's only through that information do we make any changes.
Totally.
Because, like, as we talk and have these conversations, like, we're downloading information, like downloading ideas, and then we spit them out. And so I guess that's another reason why to get into this is to, because then you get into that stream, you get into that flow where those ideas come. Yeah. And then we can have those ahas, even that small aha is enough to shift, because it's it's subtle. Well, as you get better at playing the game, the changes you have to make just as many as you can.
You explaining, like, why people always dump information on you, like, that was like that's not a small aha for me, right? That's a big aha.
I reminded you of who you are.
Yeah, it's like, oh my gosh, people do that to me all the time. And also, I feel like there's some sort of, like, trust there, right? Like, I'm a trusting person, you're a trusting person. And that's why they give you this much information, because not only, like, they're like, gosh, and people say it all the time, I don't know why I'm telling you all these things. And it's, gosh, that it just blew my mind that
because your energy,
yeah.
it's your energy.
Yeah.
People feel, 95% of our communication is non-verbal. So it's body language and it's your energy. So when you go in and you're around someone, they're feeling that auric energy. And so if naturally you are a loving, accepting, trustworthy person, that's the energy that they feel. So of course they're in the presence of that trusting energy.